Welcome to the Angels, Magic and Joy podcast. This podcast is for those who seek answers from above, guidance and magical inspiration.
Immerse yourself in the realms of magic, angels, fairies, unicorns, dragons, and so much more. I'm Kirsty Jandrell, and I'm delighted to be here with you today.
And I am Kate Latchfeld.
Hello, and welcome to the Angels, Magic and Joy podcast. We are so thrilled, Kate and I are so thrilled today to welcome the beautiful soul that is Adrian Lee, an amazing light worker from the south of England. Adrian works with past lives, Akashic records clearings, amongst many other things. And since 2017, Adrian has been on an accelerated healing path that has been transformative for himself and many others, so that we can learn from him how to discover our true soul's purpose, love, joy, and happiness. So welcome, Adrian. We're so delighted that you're here.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for inviting me on. And you know what we're all trying to do, aren't we? Is just if there's one person that this hits and it helps them on their journey, then we've done our job. But I think surrender is a key for many of us right now in many different ways. So really look forward to talking about this.
Yeah, thank you. And that's going to be one of the main themes of our chat today. But Adrian, before we really start to dive in, I'm sure all of our viewers are aware of you, but if by chance there's someone that isn't, can you briefly explain a little bit about the magic really that you're bringing into the world at this moment, please?
So what I'm doing now, not the background. Okay.
Yeah, I think we'll dig into your background in a little bit more depth later on. But yeah, just sort of what you're bringing through it right now would be great.
So I guess the main thing that people know me for is helping people clear their Akashic records, and which is obviously not my human, but it's my higher soul and my team interacting with their higher soul and their teams to clear their Akashic records. Which has been, I've done the energy healing. I do the past life stuff in a very few one-to-ones that I do these days, but mainly it's on the clearing the Akashic records, which has been, when I learned the Akashic records back in 2020, and I learned from a lady called Renee Johnson. For me, I cleared my records for about 3 or 4 months, and it really thrust me forward. So I've now been doing that, and I've been fortunate enough to help a lot of people. And so that's the work. And it can be, if you want an example, I suppose, of what the Akashic records can do. I always tell people about this one because it filled my heart with joy. Because clearing the Akashic records can be so simple. There was this lady that came to me, and she was a friend actually, and she left her husband when she was 28. She was now 40, and she couldn't commit to any relationship at all. And I said, you know what? I think we need to remove that soul contract with your ex-husband. And we did it, and it was like a couple of minutes maximum, just removing the soul contract. Within a week, she had moved to her then on-off boyfriend, and within a month, she had married him, and they're still together today. Woohoo! So for me, and who loves, everybody loves a good love story, right? That's true. But there's been many different people have really moved forward. So clearing the Akashic records, and if I'm being really honest, I just went for it, not really knowing back in 2021 really how it all worked, but it worked. And I think that is, so my ego was out the way because I didn't actually know what was going on, but it was working. And I only knew it was working because people telling me what, what improvement they had in their life. So yeah, that's been the main work since certainly 2022.
We all love a good love story, don't we? I'm sure you have
Absolutely.
loads of examples, but just diving in a bit more, Adrian, to Akashic records, for those that are not familiar, what is it actually? What are the Akashic records? What is it exactly? A bit more technical, and also the super subconscious. If you could, kind of expand it into, a bit more, if you could, technical terms for ones that never experienced that.
So the Akashic records, we can also call them timelines. We can, and I just went one day, let's call it the super subconscious, because it covers such an array. It's almost undescribable. Now I know that some people think they're in the Akashic records are under the Sphinx in Egypt. Some people just think it's a library of our lifetimes. So some people see them as books in a library. But the way I see it is that wherever they are, because I actually believe everything's in our heart. So my belief is everything is within us, not external. But it doesn't really matter what we think they are. Our Akashic records, our timelines, our super subconscious is all of our lives from our first incarnation on Earth and beyond. Some people call it the halls of Amenti. I never like to say this is 100% correct because it might be correct yesterday, but it might be different today. So I just believe everything's within us. So I hope that makes sense. So all of our lifetimes, all of our actions, all of our deeds, what we've agreed to, many people think that we went into a negative construct after the fall of Atlantis. So all of that negative program will be in the Akashic records. So right now we're getting, we are getting rid of all of the negative stuff, and people are really jumping forward when they can clear. And the way I do it, there's many different ways to clear. You don't need to put on one modality. People can do it with light language. People can do it with their own systems. There's loads of way of clearing.
I have to ask, and I have to budge in with one more thing, Adrian, because this is something I ask most of the people. I'm really interested. What would you say? Do we have a choice?
Do we have a choice? Okay, so what I like to think is that eventually we're going to be clearing. Maybe this is not answering your question, but I'm going to give this answer. Eventually, with all the frequencies, our records are going to be cleared anyway. But we can get ahead of the game by doing it right now. And for me, I want to get well ahead of the game. So I'm going to do all the clearing and all the healing I possibly can on myself and for my clients. Do we have a choice? Is it all set out? Well, if our lives are actually set out for us and we're doing clearing, it's in our records anyway to do the clearing, right? If it's not, we're getting ahead of the game. So again, does it matter? So it doesn't matter. So we are where we're meant to be, whether we're clearing the records or not. And we will get on the bus to ascension at different times. I would like to be on the first bus. Who's coming with me? But if I'm on the third bus, well, at least I'll be going. So cool.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. And yeah, I want to be on the first bus too, please. But yeah, I'm cool. I'm cool if not. And I love that explanation. Thank you. And Kate, that was such a great question, because I also work with the Akashic Records, Adrian, and I've had I find them when I first started, like you, I was sort of like, well, I don't really understand this, but what's coming through is just so love-filled and so relevant to whoever I'm working with and so beneficial, it almost doesn't matter. It's having a positive effect. But um you mentioned the horse of a mentee, and I got quite sort of confused at one point and thinking, well, where am I working? And then eventually came to the conclusion that really it's just a label. We're in that beautiful space, aren't we? That's our energy field,
It's
basically.
just the label.
Mm,
Absolutely. We're in the energy of. Does it matter where it is?
yeah,
No. If
exactly.
it's helping people, it doesn't matter, does it? I totally agree.
Exactly. Exactly. So thank you. I think that's beautiful. And the fact that you know, as you say, it's such a simple way. You've got this simple way of being able to clear all of this karmic debt, the contracts, and
Yes.
just we're in that period of, I feel, such shedding still, aren't we? Sort of a third of the way through 2025 that
When we think about where we come from in the last couple of years, it's been just amazing. Um, but of course, for maybe us three here, we've done a lot of work on ourselves. But there's a load of people coming up that won't have done a lot of work on
Mm,
themselves.
mm,
So there'll be a load of light workers. I know that we are clearing for collective anyway. Maybe they won't have it so bad, which is nice, but they'll still need some help um, along the way. We all need some help now and again, don't we?
we do. That's it. And if we can all help to walk each other home, that's the thing, isn't it? So
Absolutely,
beautiful.
absolutely.
Oh, thank you for that. So wanting really now, Adrian, if it's okay to sort of really dive into the theme of surrender, and it's one of the main sort of gifts and messages that you've mentioned that you're bringing through to assist others on their journey from your experience mainly, isn't
Yeah,
it? And
yeah,
I just
absolutely.
wondered, if you could share with us and with our listeners and viewers your personal journey with surrender and how
Yes.
deeply transformative it was, please.
So I will give you a little bit of background because then it fills in the context of where I've come from. And there's no blame, shame, or guilt on any people that might have been involved in that it is what it is. So my parenting, I had everything. So when I was a child, I'm not going to go on too long, but it's just brief information. I was typically in my generation. Well, I was actually given everything materially that I ever wanted. I didn't want for anything materially, but typically I didn't get any love from my parents. I had that programming of you're not good enough, you'll never make anything of yourself, being compared with my friends, all of that stuff, like many of my generation had. I think that parenting thought that was going to drive you to be successful, but all it did is just completely filled you with trauma and negative programming. And even when all my friends were getting married in their early 20s, my parents were saying to me, "What's wrong with you? You're not getting married. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with me?" And I think they changed their ideas when they all started getting divorced. But anyway, never mind. Um, and then, so basically, my father died when I was 27, and that was my first way into depression. I didn't have a great relationship with my father, but I was mourning the father that I didn't have, the one that I wanted. And I know this is very common with a lot of people. And I started, and it was the first time I had counseling and all that. And so over a number of years, basically on and off for 20 years, I went into deep depression, was heavily medicated with sertraline on and off, but I knew in my heart I didn't want to be on medication for a long time. But within that time, just briefly, I had some significant, lovely, beautiful relationships, but I never could commit because I never felt good enough. Um, you know, there was always something, within me, and I could never commit. And I actually feel sorry no, I don't feel sorry. I have big empathy for the relationships I was in, because I must have been so difficult, actually, really difficult. And I see it in, but I used to give it my all, but then get completely stressed out. So stress brought on my depression. And when I went into depression, heavy suicidal patterns, I used to look on suicidal websites, and even just, I wanted out a lot of the time, just wanted it out because I didn't know how to cope. And I think that the thing with that is, very early on in these, like many star seeds or whatever you want to call them, I was off seeing mediums when my mates were going out and getting drunk and stuff. But I was seeing mediums going, what am I doing here? What am I, I didn't even know who I was. So on and on. There's a couple of times where I'd sort of planned my exit from this body in that time. I lost everything in 2017. I lost my house, my pension fund, everything. And because I was just in the muggle world at that time, I went, okay, I need to look at this healing stuff, this energy stuff. And a friend of mine, so I went to a healing modality. That was great. I'm going to be honest with you, I had some fantastic results, but from healing myself and others. But really, it was when I met the Akashic Records, things really started to change. So back in 2018, and I'm coming up to the surrender story, but basically I was living on people's couches and beds, and my mother said, you're going to have to come and live with us. And that's her and her partner. So I went to live with them, which wasn't ideal. I'm very grateful for that, obviously very grateful. I was safe, and that was the main thing. Really struggling in the 3D world at that time. £50,000 in debt, no job. At ripe age of 50, I'm going, what have I done? It was crazy, absolutely crazy. And but there was a way out. There was something coming in for me. I had £75,000 coming in to pay off my £50,000 worth of debt, 25 grand to get me on a house, get me, renting a house. I always thought that was my way out. And at the back end of 2021, I was told that wasn't coming. And it sent me right back into that depression, that fear, all of that trauma, like, of fear of failure, fear of being on the streets, because I didn't want to be in that house. They didn't want me in that house. I've been there for 4 years by that time. And I couldn't see a way out. So because of the fear of living on the street, because of the fear of failure, because of the fear of the banks chasing me, I was in total fear of all of that. And so I planned my exit. And I hope you can see the way I talk. This is a past. I'm not coming from a place of woundedness now, because obviously I'm here. I'm talking to you. But I remember going into Screwfix on the Saturday. My mum and her partner had gone away, and I'd researched suicide to the nth degree, and hanging was not the way to do it, because of all sorts of reasons. But that time, that was the way for me. So I went to Screwfix on the Saturday, and I bought 2 ropes. Why did I buy 2 ropes? And we can smile about this, because it is, it is. I find it quite funny now. Anyway, on the Sunday, I was going to. I started testing what I was going to be doing. So I set the whole system up. I put the rope around my neck. I pulled it tight, and I went, "Oh, that hurts." Like it's not going to hurt, right? And no, I'm glad you're laughing, because that's the way I see it too. So I took the rope off, And I sat down and I literally, this is the surrender. At that point, okay, I went, okay, God, over to you. Over to you. If you want me to go and live on the streets, I'll go and live on the streets. Because I could see myself living in one of those, the shop the shop windows. I thought, what can the banks do? I've got nothing. They can send all the letters, they can send all the bailiffs, they can do it all. And I thought, well, if people think I'm a failure, what can I do? It's their stuff, not mine. So at that moment in time, all my fear just went. And I was expecting, so we're getting to the good part now, the real good part, is because I was just expecting bad things to happen, or negative, going through that whole negative, oh God, and I was a healer at that time and I knew what you should be doing. So, yeah, but what actually happened is within 1 month, a friend of mine, for absolutely no reason at all, she gave me $5,000 worth of cryptocurrency. She went, that's yours. I made that money from nothing. It's yours. Do with it what you want. The second month, another friend of mine who was in the energy healing, she said, come and stay with me in Portugal for a week, all expenses paid. So I went to Portugal. The following month, my £50,000 worth of debt, a bank wrote off £25,000 without any question. Of course, it did go on my credit history, but it just was wiped off. And the lady that wrote the letter for me, she said, I've never heard of this before. She'd help people get rid of like £3,000 or £4,000, but 25,000, it just went. And then the following month, I met this. So I was going around in a car that had been written off twice. It had dents all over the place, and the MOT, some repairs were going to cost me £300. I didn't have £300, and I met this guy, and I only known him for about 3/4 an hour, and he said, "Well, if I buy a new car this week, do you want my old one?" And I went, "Okay, thank you, great." And I said, "What is it?" And he said, "Oh, it's a Mercedes SLK 280 drop top, and it was, worth £5,000. So all of this, and that was just in the first few months after the surrender of letting go of the fear and just letting it, I didn't even know what was happening, but that was the proof almost. And then after that, I feel I've been talking for quite a while now, but then after that, things even got, a year later, things just went nuts, with Diana Cooper and Pam Gregory both putting me in their newsletters, and it just went ballistic. And obviously I'm very grateful for that. But I feel, do you have any questions on that, or should I keep going?
I could listen to you all day.
And then magic.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I'll call it. And you call it surrender. I suppose we could use loads of words to describe it. Some people call it, I suppose, enlightenment, and I suppose we can touch upon it. I suppose there isn't even a formula, because we can call it a surrender, but it's like, I like to call it, you just get it. It's like this moment in that point that it hits you and you just get it. And I like your approach with the suicide. I tried to hang myself when I was 10, was the first approach of mine. And I'm always the same. Looking back, I'm like, wasn't very clever, didn't really work out. And people always get very emotional unnecessarily, because this is the old version of us talking. This is a new version. This is completely different. So I love your approach, and I feel such a message of hope, and it's kind of talking about it. Let us touch upon it. Let us get a feeling of it. So I love it, Adrian. I think we could dive into more of that, and surrender, and then equally with that self-love, because this is love diluting absolutely everything. And I feel your surrender was like this massive love, this understanding, this I get it now.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely, absolutely.
how would you, diving into with the, we hear self-love everywhere, right? But
Yeah.
like from the point of, I get it. What is self-love, Adrian? And the importance of it for the humanity, for ourselves. What actually is self-love? How would you describe it? How would you touch upon it to get a sense of it? Because obviously, all the magic that happened to you is the love. Universe always provides, and obviously we can read it in every second book. But what, because it's a difference between someone surrendering and expecting, okay, so now I just drop everything and just, okay, universe provide for me, and the difference between really connecting with the love, really letting go. How would you describe that and weave that with the self-love?
So I guess everybody, like you say, everybody's got their own description of self-love, and I'm still working on self-love for me. It's a constant, right? And there's some definitely bits where I need to love myself more, or even starting loving myself. But I think for me, the self-love started with being open, authentic, saying my truth, where people might have thought that was selfish before, I actually call it self-love. And so obviously, having the spiritual practice, following the spiritual way for me, um, that was all about self-love, because we in the programming of the Muggle three-dimensional world, we're meant to be certain ways and do certain things. Well, I not go against it, but I've completely reversed that, and I come first, whatever the case. So self-love is I come first, period. Um, as I said, and that's with people. I believe that I've got a good heart and I'm kind, but some people also may not like the directness now. That is can be quite black and white, but that's just me loving myself more than bending myself for a different situation. For the bending ourselves, the pleasing other people. That's done for me now. As long as we're doing it with kindness, of course, and being with our own honesty and integrity, that's what it's about for me. But also being around the right people. Um, I've got some amazing people, and just being where you can just be yourself without being judged. And of course, what you need do, but you only gain those by not judging other people as well. Because you're only attracting those people by you mirror, don't you? So of course, this is work in progress, and I'm still probably rubbing people up the wrong way, as maybe I get triggered now and again, but we can only keep on working on that. And there's a few things that I really got to nail this year for self-love for me. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's the best
Would
I
you
can give, I think.
expand? Because this is a very interesting one, isn't it? I feel like it's this way of understanding the words as well. Let's say from the past, the people pleasing, it's something that we would think we're doing a service to someone, which is actually this service, right?
Yeah.
How would you look at all those situations that might be seen as, you said, of course, we're trying to do it with kindness. Would you agree that sometimes, because I'm trying to touch upon it as, because straight away I'm going to hear, okay, so now we're going to extreme, we're all being mean to each other. Like, how would you paraphrase, how would you put it in the words? What was seen as is actually self-love that's not being seen as self-love? It's kind of this understanding of the words. I don't know if you get me. I'm trying to put it in the words, but there is so many things that we think is not self-love, but it is. And why I'm trying to put it in words. I don't know if you get me. Is this paradox that what we think is selfish is actually not. because from what place we're coming forward with that. So let's say I'm trying to be nice to everyone, which might be thinking, oh, it's selfless, right? But it's actually not. It's very selfish because I feel better and I feel finally validated. How would you approach that? Is it maybe it's only about the words we're using and the understanding of the words?
Crikey, we could be here all day, couldn't we? um, um I don't know if I'm going to answer it in what you mean, because there's so much. Maybe, when there's a situation when somebody is saying, maybe they want to do it that way, and, they're encouraging you to do it a certain way, something, whatever it is, could be a 3D thing, a 5D thing. For me, if it doesn't feel good in my heart, I'm not just going to please my friend to do it that way, because that is not, it doesn't feel, but before I would have done, I've just gone along with it. So my self-love for myself is to say something like, that's great. I'm really pleased that you're doing that. That doesn't really quite fit where I'm at. So, blessings for that way. I'm just going to sit with me and do it my way, for instance. I'm not sure that answered your question, but that is maybe, see, that's a crossover with being in your authentic self, isn't it? So there's so many crossovers here. But self-love could be, somebody wants you to come out and go to a gathering or whatever, but you don't feel like it. And you just want to sit quietly. Whereas before, you probably would have pushed yourself and go out. But your self-love is, no, I need to be alone. And you need to be able to say to someone, guys, have a great time tonight. I absolutely need to be on my own and I need to do my thing. There's nothing wrong with that. And yeah, so it's all that self-love, for me is that's where I'm at with everything right now. As I said, there's a few bits and pieces I need to work on. And one is getting fit. It's been quite a while. That's my next self-love.
Well,
I'll let you know when that happens.
I was just going to say, you heard it here first, so we'll hold you accountable, Adrian, if you wish
Yeah.
us to.
When it works, so we'll do another one. Say, look,
Yeah,
yes.
okay. Oh, and thank you so much for that. I absolutely agree with both of you. It's a subject that's never ending, really, and I'm absolutely in agreement with the fact that it's such an ongoing process,
Yeah.
and we wouldn't be here, would we? If we were in perfect self-love, we would be up there somewhere, I'm sure of
Yes. Yeah.
it. So I'm sure it's going to be an
And
ongoing thing.
also, since then, going back to the surrender and self-love,
Mm.
I had a crazy, amazing mid 23 to mid 24 when I was on this rocket ship, just going up, and I probably wasn't in control of it, but most of it, 95% seemed to work, but I definitely wasn't in control. And so I've actually taken about 9 months, 8 to 9 months of just getting back into balance, where say for profile and money, I should have just kept on going, but that wouldn't have been any good. We need to take stock, and so I've been doing a lot of self-love and working on myself for the last 9 months, and that's tricky because a lot of people are in money issues. A lot of people don't have money, and and I can see my money, and I'm going, okay, I really need to get on with this, but I come first here. Is it the money first or me? And I decided to put me first because I needed to surrender to the outcome of what's next. So, and that's tricky. So even in the last 9 months, I'm having to do mini surrenders or mini alignments, whatever you want to call it, and not worry, because you bring the worry in, you stop everything. So that surrender, the alignment, the self-love, the self-care, so we can go for maybe a lot longer than getting on a rocket ship until we have to get off because we're burnt out. But anyway, never mind. It is what it is.
Oh, that's beautiful. And that sort of awareness also that, we were all born into that system that you described so beautifully at the start of your surrender story. You're successful materially, but yet completely unfulfilled emotionally and spiritually.
Mm.
And it seems that you've noticed that you've had that awareness, Adrian, that yeah, I could go back onto that trajectory and but actually no, it's your well-being and your capacity for holding what you already have in order to feel well and then to give that to others is of paramount importance.
Absolutely.
And that's
We are all supported. We all know we are actually all
mm,
supported when we're in alignment. Or we're all supported anyway. So all of that fear and that worry just holds us back. But I do get it because I was there for many years. Why people, are in that right now. I
yeah.
know a few people right now. I mean, I was home 2 years ago. I was homeless, literally 2 years ago, and it really just kicked in the July of 2023. And I was doing house sitting because I had nowhere to go, and I had £1 in my pocket, and I couldn't drive anywhere because I needed that pound. And I've got several people right now in exactly the same situation. So you, people are going for it for different reasons, but maybe it is that surrender and finally handing over or to get into our alignment. So
Yeah.
we need men. I think they are waking up more. But anyway,
Do you know
moving on.
this is such a theme that Kate and I have been sort of talking about, and it's a thread that's been woven really through the podcast since its inception, but especially the last 6 months. And they are we're just sort of it's almost as though I don't know that the divine feminine almost needed to come through those that inhabit you know the female gender at the moment, so that hasn't served any gender to start
No.
to disintegrate. And now it's balance, isn't it? And we
Yeah.
feel like we need that sacred masculine to meet the divine feminine within each one of us, but then also, as you say, in sacred unions. And yeah.
And I hope in a way that, you know, it would be lovely for this chat to hit as many people as possible, and maybe men as well, because it's okay to be vulnerable. In fact, I actually think being vulnerable is much more of a strength than not being vulnerable, you know, because, you know, but it's hard in that male masculine, where you've got to sort everything and not show any emotion. But so I actually think, Eckhart Tolle, he ended up on a park bench, and look at him, many, 20 years later, everybody's read his book. And so we've got new people coming through with similar stories, I guess. They just repeat. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to show your emotion.
Okay, I have to ask, what's the difference between being vulnerable and the victimhood?
Oh, victimhood is staying in that victim. You're staying in that. I mean, I definitely lived in that victimhood for 20 years or so. It was that pattern of depression. Then I'd be okay for a while, then go back into that. And I'm going, well, I've got depression. you know, my chemicals aren't correct. And you would live out that story time and time again, and you would label yourself. So that is victimhood, is staying in that situation. And I hear it from other things as well, whether you've been a victim of a narcissist. People love to stay in that they're victims of narcissists, and they keep on about it, or they are a victim of whatever it is. That's, for me, that's being a victim and victimhood. What was you comparing it with again?
With vulnerability, because I feel like it can be very often missed in between, that it's not vulnerability, it's stepping into the victimhood. And I'm curious, how would you
You asked some great questions, ones that I haven't thought about. So I guess this is a problem now. It's so easy for me to be vulnerable and be open. I can't even remember what it's not like to be vulnerable. And I guess that's the energy. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, honestly, because I can't even remember not being vulnerable. But vulnerable is a strength. I think victimhood is a kind of a negative construct. Okay, I'll give you a sensible answer. Victimhood is a negative construct. Being vulnerable is a strength and a positive. So I'm going to use that now. Thank you. Going forward. Anyway, yeah. So surrender and being vulnerable. You're going to have to chip in now because my brain's gone blank.
Well, you two have just triggered me on a little trajectory of questioning, and it is such a, as you say, that the vulnerability and the victimhood. As you were talking, Adrian, I felt that the vulnerability was actually taking responsibility and being in alignment for who, stepping into your sovereign self, really, your higher
Yeah,
self,
yeah,
and being open and being open-hearted. Whereas the victimhood was sort of almost like a blame thing. So you're blaming someone else for your status. Whereas if you're vulnerable, you're stepping into that, accepting of true responsibility,
yeah,
self-responsibility,
yeah.
self-mastery, really. So I don't know if that resonates.
No,
But
I'm liking it. I'm liking this, and I need to talk about this. I think it's something we could talk about, the differences in it. Yeah, that's great.
well, I was wondering, as a man in the spiritual field, and we were talking about, how can men be more involved and feel safe and feel safe to be vulnerable?
Yeah.
Would you have any tips given what we've
Well,
just
I know.
said? I've
I
just
always thought. By the way, I always thought that was going to be my path,
ah,
helping men. I
ah,
always thought it was going to be. But I now really understand my blueprint, and it's not just about men. But
mm,
there's some great guys that are really getting men's groups together. But also, I know, because a lot of those groups would be, they would like just moan about stuff and not progress. But I know that is the truth. God, I'm going to get a slating. But the I know a couple of guys now who are actually bringing solutions in, to really, and that's what we are all doing, trying to do, isn't it? Bringing solutions. So if there's any men in that situation that are feeling, vulnerable, depressed, whatever, I would definitely, well, first of all, going to a lady for healing, sometimes that's tricky for some men as well, when because they are in that old paradigm. So the first step is, maybe go to a lady healer, or there are other men's groups out there, but picking the right one where they're being positive and bringing up solutions, as opposed to being that just like going down the pub and having a moan. You need to come up with positive solutions to come out. And sharing, of course, sharing is again, that's a start anyway. I don't believe that any of us have the whole solution. You know, there's not one model that fits everyone. There's going to be different models, and everybody will take their own path.
Thank you so much. It's just so interesting. We're in such interesting times, aren't we? Which brings us to our next sort of focus, Adrian, really. And we'd love to dive into, and we talked about this a little bit before we came on air, the 2025, and you've touched upon it already by, mentioning people that are in struggles and initiations of various forms. So far, I mean, we're recording this towards the end of April in 2025. And it's already been such an intense, transformative period, I think, for a lot of people individually and certainly collectively, certainly globally. So just wondering into that, do you have any sort of intuitive knowings, Adrian, or feelings about how this year will continue to unfold? And maybe if you do, any advice for our listeners, so that they can, talking about timelines, so that they can sort of continue to align with their highest timeline possible, please? And I know that's a huge question. Sorry.
Yeah, that's how many weeks have we got?
Yeah.
For me, this time is about whatever we feel uncomfortable with, let's deal with it. Let's get it out on the table and get it away. We've all made mistakes. We've all done things that are wrong. Most of them probably, not on purpose, but it's just to go, is to face those bits and pieces. And I know that is coming up for a lot of people. You'll bump into somebody that you've not wanted to see for a long time, and you're bumping into them. It's happening all around, my friends, and things are coming up to be faced. So that is quite tricky. So managing that would be a really good idea. And living, obviously, this is such an easy one, but just living in your joy, living with whatever makes you happy. And I don't go along with the whole spiritual thing. Oh, you shouldn't watch Netflix. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do what you want that brings you joy. Now, if there's any programming in any like movies or whatever, just clear your records afterwards. Just clear it of any program you get. But if you enjoy a blooming film, watch it, enjoy it, have a great time. I know that, sometimes I know that alcohol, I know a lot of people that still have a little bit of alcohol and they enjoy it. Just enjoy whatever you do. We don't need to be sitting there omming all blooming day, thinking this is the way. Let's enjoy ourselves. And I promise you, I've not been on my 7-year-old today, but most of the time I'm my 7-year-old when I'm with my friends, because my 7-year-old enjoys it. It's pathetic, it's a bit naughty, but we laugh. And for me, laughing is healing. So this 2025 is, let's face the things that let's come up with a solution for the things that have probably been bugging us for a long time, because they're coming up in people's minds anyway. But really enjoy whatever we like to enjoy, within moderation, within reason. Because, there's every day somebody's saying this day is going to be a big day. My dear friend Pam, she's got coming out with it all the time. But let's just let's not wait for anything. Let's just live in it every day. Because every day seems to be a significant day at the moment. So, and yeah. So I've stopped worrying about dates, or I'm just planning, and if it's meant to be, it will be.
Yeah.
Is that
It's a mastery of surrendering.
Perfect.
And I love that you're mentioning joy. And I always say that to my kids. I'm like, I have to go to sleep because tomorrow is a really, really big day. And they're like, what is it? Another day of your life. and it's so true. It's so true. And kind of, enjoying regardless of what this experience is. I'm just, we're alive, we're experiencing. So I'm gonna cut out whatever you just said, and I'm just gonna repeat it every morning to myself.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing that I say to my guys, and we're going back to the Akashic records here, is that every morning I just say to my higher self, clear everything that doesn't serve me. Just clear everything. Clear all the negative stuff, clear all negative programming, clear everything that doesn't serve me. So if I have interacted with anything that maybe is trying to program me, like any program on TV, on a streaming service, whatever, I believe I'm getting rid of it. So I don't worry about it, because we can be so blooming. I was going to say a word that we're so stuck and rigid. We can't be rigid. Let's just let it all flow. We should all let it all flow. I don't know how long we've got, but I just really wanted to mention the beauty of surrender, because what actually happened to me after all of that nice stuff, the magic really did happen for me. So I know I'm going back a little bit, but I just feel I want to tell people that magic really can happen. So after my surrender in February 2022, I put out my first meditation at Knowlton Church. And, I had no idea what was going to happen. But what did happen is 140 people just turned up. And then the next one, 250 people turned up. And I honestly had no expectations, but it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then for anybody that doesn't know me on here, then working with some big names, they said, come and work with me. And it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And it was just absolutely magical. And I really wanted to say that, just in case anybody didn't know that when you do surrender, not only those like little, big things can happen, massive things can happen, changing life things can happen. And so within that surrender, it's definitely about let the magic happen, because it is really, it can be really magical when you let go.
And then your beautiful formula, because I feel it's like the cauldron you're holding and giving us the ingredients of your beautiful formula. I feel one of the, as you've already mentioned, big names, other people on your path as well. And we could often forget about it. But I feel like, especially in times now, and we had this whole idea behind evolution that the strongest one win. And even science is turning it around, that not the strongest win, the collaboration win, the community win. And I would like to touch upon that a bit from your perspective on your journey, collaboration, synergy, how does the importance of it in our golden future, how do you view that? What's your, experience and point of view on the collaborations, on, creating the net?
Collaborations is the only way to go. Community is the only way to go. The times, I know they've been needed in times past where we've looked up to one person, but that time is gone. That time is gone. We've just got to, I actually describe it as, in my last meditation, it's normal stuff, but we are just a piece of the puzzle. We're a note of the music. We are a spark in the star. We're just a little, and if when we all of our bits come together, we make an amazing, power-filled, beautiful, aligned community. And I know it's our jobs to do our healing. We are responsible. We can do everything ourselves, but it's much easier when we're in a community. And you can call our community with our human team, our galactic team. It's all of our community. So collaboration, you know, how people do some of these events and they just speak all day on their own. I don't know how they do that. I'm very much along the line. Let's get a few of us along speaking because that's much easier. So that for me, that's a collaboration. When I put my first meditation out, I was collaborative. I didn't take it all myself. I just invited, do you want to do 15 minutes? Do you want to do 15 minutes? Because it's lovely to share and just put that out. And so it's the only way for me. There's no competition. I personally, I definitely wasn't like this all the time. I probably was one of those people when I want to keep it all for myself. I want to be the best in sliced bread. But that again, that just restricts it all, doesn't it? And you know, I know that I was that person, but now I'm like, I'm not the right person for that. Go and see that person. Or actually, I'm a bit busy right now, but try these other 6 people. See what you feel with those. Because the more you give out, the more you get back. It's just the way it works. But that's a learning process you have to go through as well, isn't it? That, you know, there's no competition. Let's just all work together. And God, it's a right old loving today, isn't it?
Oh, get 3 andromedans together.
All that higher heart energy through Venus, love, 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 and all of that.
Oh dear. Oh gosh. Well, we've certainly, well, you both have certainly raised my frequency today. So thank you.
Cool.
It's
Cool
been
stuff.
beautiful.
Me too. Yeah,
Oh,
me too.
but it's so true, isn't it? And it's I think, you know, there's so many themes here, Adrian, you know, surrender, magic, joy, you know, collaboration, oneness, miracles, or, you know, and it feels as though, you know, all of those things really have are part and parcel of the same essence, really. It's that
Yeah,
sort of, you know, as we were talking about, it's that, you know, that free raising the frequency, the open-heartedness and being in love rather than being in fear and separation.
yeah.
And you've just really I'm not sure about the word embodied, but you have embodied that today. So you've really brought that through. You've transmitted that. So thank
We're
you.
we're all doing our best, aren't we? We're doing our best, and that's all we can do. And I totally acknowledge that there's 3 people here. We might be in a really great place. Some days we're not, right? You know,
Mm.
but there's a lot of people who aren't. So I still acknowledge that, you know, there's a lot of fear out there. So we're doing our bit to help and maybe inspire some people or put that spark in their heart to go, oh, you know, there is hope or whatever. So that's all we can do.
You've been so inspirational today, as you are every day. And I'm sure so many people have benefited from hearing you today, Adrian. So thank you.
I've
And
loved it. Thank you for inviting me on. I've loved it. Come
we were
on.
so excited when you said yes. So thank you.
Oh,
Yes to this
cool.
particular
Cool. Thank you.
collaboration.
And yeah, I didn't know we were all from our main galactics were all from Andromeda until this morning. So come on, let's have a loving. Come
Let's
on.
have a look.
Oh dear.
Oh, bless.
Okay, my 7-year-old came out. Come on. Come on.
Yeah, no. 7-year-olds are more than welcome. And yeah, if only we could all connect on that level all the time. What a
Yeah,
joyous life we would all have, hey?
yeah, yeah. I try to.
Oh. Adrian, we'll put all of this in the show notes, but if people are not, if people are just listening and want to sort of connect with you straight away, what are the best ways for people to connect with you, to find out about your your events, your healings, and all of that good stuff?
So AdrianLeeEnergy.com. That's the easiest way. Obviously, we know we do have Facebook pages and Instagram pages. But AdrianLeeEnergy.com is and then, I do have a YouTube channel as well. It's all Adrian Lee Energy, whatever, and then something. But you know, that is great. And yeah, I've really have no structure at this moment, and that's why I've taken that time off to try and get some structure. So everything happens when it happens, in whatever happens. But with this, I do some there's some free stuff out there, and obviously we currently in this three-dimensional world where we do need to earn some money as well. So we try and do those as economically as possible for the group clearings and the group manifestations and all of that. I'm sure we'll try and do that in the best way we can. But I think probably maybe I just want to mention we've got maybe the main thrust of I'm really looking forward to. I don't know if you guys, Alexander Quinn is coming along to a heart gathering along with Nicola Light, and that's in September in Glastonbury. So I'm really looking. We had one last year. We had Rory Duff and a few others. So really looking forward to that in September. So I love it when people come together. You know, I love it when we can do the free stuff, when we just get together in a field. But then obviously there's the other stuff where it's a bit more structured. But I just love when people get together, right? There's so much love and energy exchanged. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's a bit of way off, yeah.
Oh, thank you. We'll put all the details there. That sounds amazing. And you never know, we might be able to come join you.
Yeah, I'm already gonna check it out.
Oh, that was
fantastic.
Super awesome, amazing. Yeah, it will be what it'll be. I know it's going to be a fun day. I'm actually I definitely am I don't know if you know, but I used to do karaoke. This is way off mark, right? I used to do karaoke, and then at the Raise the Frequency of the World event in Portugal, a week beforehand, Diana said, "Oh, do you want to do that song then, Angels?" So yeah, but so there's more songs coming for uplifting, beautiful, loving vibes. So there's going to be a few more songs in the gatherings that I facilitate going forward.
Oh, I love that. I can't wait to hear.
Yes,
thank you so much for today. Thank you so much, Kirsty, and thank you so much, Adrian, for today. I feel such a message of hope and surrendering in so many different ways. I feel like it's weaving through different layers of it. I'm gonna listen to it a few times, I bet, and discover
beautiful
other ones. Thank you so much.
Thank you two for inspiring me this morning. So thank you.
Thank you.
Lots of love, everyone.
Bye.
See you soon. Bye.